Hello there, welcome once again to The Verdict. I'm Mick Cornett along with Rachael Meyers. We're here every week, as you know, meeting interesting people and dealing with some topical issues. And today we're going to welcome in somebody who's very close to you.
Yes, I'm thrilled that our guest today is our daughter, Rachael Meyers. She has a lot of interesting things to tell you about from the standpoint of her being out in California in the entertainment industry, and we'll catch up with her in that regard.
We'll find out what she's been up to and also get some insight on some of the strikes that have taken place against the industry and how that industry is changing. We'll get her perspectives. It's all coming up today on The Verdict, and we'll be right back.
Right now, 6 feet can feel like a long ways away. But from 6 feet, we can still smile at each other. From our doorways and our stairways, from opposite sides of the street and opposite sides of the country. Through fear and frustrations, we can remind each other that we are still here for each other. Because we can still smile at each other. And we're not going anywhere.
Military service ran in my blood, starting from my father, which joined the Navy. On the Chickasaw side, my uncle, which served in the United States Army. I'm Benjamin Espinosa, Chief Petty Officer, United States Navy, and I'm Chickasaw. I went to the Secretary of Defense's staff at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., which ultimately led to becoming a combat support technician for Naval Special Warfare, specifically SEAL Team 10. I think to be proud and to love your tribe, to love being Chickasaw, you also have to love being American. You also have to love everything that America stands for. Equality, perseverance, professionalism, and power. I want my family to know that their father is a good person, but also feels that he has an obligation to the country and to love this nation. Anything worth having is worth dying for. The military and the country owes me nothing. I owe it everything.
See more stories about the Chickasaw people at profilesofanation.com.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers. Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
What a pleasure to introduce a treasure. My daughter Rachael is our guest today, and I'm awfully proud of her, as is her mother and everybody that knows her, including her husband. In any event, Rachael Meyers grew up here in Oklahoma City, went to high school at Heritage Hall High School, and then when college came around, she decided to go to Colorado College in Colorado Springs. While there, she played a couple of years on the Colorado College basketball team as a 6'2" center, and also got her degree in collaborative performance activities. That's pretty close, which was a major combining acting, singing, and dancing. And she's been involved in all of that all of her life. From Colorado College, she moved to Hollywood. Has been out there 13 years and in the entertainment industry, and has had a lot of interesting experiences. She is an award-winning filmmaker, and she's an actress. She won her awards for her film production activities, and she can talk about that as we go along today. As an actress, we can't talk about much because of the writer's strike. So if you see us kind of back away from a topic, just understand that Rachael, as a member of SAG, is on strike. And there are certain things she can and can't talk about on the air. So forgive us for having that impediment, but she was back in town, and we wanted to get her on while she was here. Well, welcome, Rachel.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome home.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks
So
for
what
having me.
what goes through your mind when you're driving through Oklahoma City these days? Because you see the bright lights of Hollywood, and then you come back, and I'm sure so many memories flood back to when you were acting and producing and doing all of these performance things as strictly an amateur in middle school and high school, and to get to where you are today. What memories come back to you from Oklahoma City?
Well, first of all, how easy it is to drive here. It's so nice. My parents talk about rush hour traffic, and I'm like, that's regular traffic in LA. That's 24 hours. So first of all, it's just easy to get around. Second, it's beautiful here. The space is open. You have nature. You have trees. You have fields. It's beautiful. You have sunsets with clouds. It's gorgeous. And then it's slower, but in a very flattering good way. I say that as a big compliment. It's just a lot easier to just live and be, and you don't have all the noise, right? So you can let the inspiration come a little bit easier than when you have all these sounds.
It's an interesting perspective. Okay, so let's talk about some of the projects that you're in. I mean, you don't ever have just one thing going on. And so I'm going to challenge you to kind of tell us what you've been working on over the last few months or years since you've been back.
Yeah, so as you know, things have been a little bit slower in LA because of the strike the past few months. So I've been really focused on developing my slate of projects, which is essentially a portfolio for a production company of the projects that they have lined up that they're looking to get funded and in production and going. So I have about upwards of 10 projects in my slate, mostly feature films, some television as well, but mostly features, and they vary across the board in regards to genre and budget range from, gritty, heartfelt indies to multi-million-dollar franchises, stylized high concept to character-driven narrative. It's just a large range. Something for everybody in there. So I've been working as an artist to get those ready to pitch.
You produce, write, act, direct. What's your favorite out of all of those roles? What appeals to you the most?
It depends on the time of day. I think it depends. They take up very different parts of the brain, As a writer, you're very introverted and internal and very much into what the story is and how it's coming out on the page. And then as a producer, you're very, very organized and very just matter of fact, these are the elements that have to be in place to get it done. As a director, you're kind of merging those and figuring out how to tell the story while also keeping in mind production on the back brain and how to best for that to flow. And as an actor, you're all about emotion. You're figuring out where the characters are coming from, psychologically and emotionally and behaviorally, how best to tell the story. So it really takes up different parts of your personality.
So when you're creating a character, do you have specific actors or performers in mind that you think fit that role, or is that a completely separate process?
That is usually the second part. I am initially when I write and I create a character, I am usually inspired by people and people I know, people that have stuck in my mind, and different aspects of their personality or things like that. I never put that person specifically on the page. It's always a blend. It's always fiction. But I do take elements of people that inspire me and I use them to inspire the character.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and there's so many new vehicles to get material in front of people, and we all know about the streaming services and things like that. How has that affected the industry as a whole? Has it created more opportunities for more people, or is it still the same old issues about trying to get an audience and trying to get funded?
It's interesting. It's definitely changed the game, and it's actually led to a big proponent of the strike, as you know. But it has created more opportunities. not just for actors, but for independent filmmakers, because all the streamers are looking for content, and they're looking constantly, right? Used to be pilot season was just in January, February, March, April, that spring segment, and that's when they would test all the new shows for network television. Now, because there's streamers and new shows are coming out all year long, you're essentially seeing, there is still a pilot season, but it's kind of year-round nowadays because they want so much content. So that's great. On the other hand, because there is so much content, in order to be seen, you have to have a name, or you have to have some kind of a draw. So there's more of a push nowadays too to have that commercial draw in not just movies but television as well. You know, television used to be kind of where you would break out new actors too in series regular roles. Now more name actors are coming into these shows because streamers need the draw. But as I mentioned too, streamers have also changed the game in regards to pay and residuals, because new media, which is the SAG contract that was created years ago for YouTube. It was created to basically, in some ways, help actors help themselves in creating their own content in a small scale. Now, that new media contract has been used for the larger streamers. Like, it's being used for Netflix and Hulu and things like that. Pardon me, I'm not supposed to say those words. But it's the contract needs to be updated, which is part of why we're on strike. The platform has changed. It's no longer small scale, it's large scale. And we need a system that represents the larger scale and pays actors what they should be paid based on that versus on a smaller revenue stream.
Did you go on the picket line?
I did.
You carried
Yes.
a SAG
Yes.
banner or poster?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, it was great to see everyone out there. We
saw
shut
a lot
down.
of familiar faces, I guess.
Yes, yeah. I saw some people that I hadn't seen in years, which was really nice. And it's great to see, you know, bigger actors, celebrities out there on the line with us every day. You see, you know, people run into them every day. I was out there when everyone stormed the gates around Universal and ended up, there were so many actors out on strike and WGA members out on strike that the street shut down and everyone was just in there in solidarity. It was all peaceful.
Well, and it's such a significant part of the economy in Southern California. You know, here it's a sliver of Oklahoma City's economy, the performing arts. But in California, the state of California, it's a significant segment of the comp. So the strike there is just, you know, it doesn't just affect us because of viewing restrictions. It affects the economy, and so I can only imagine, you know, how much more attention and how the gravity just increases.
100%.
Rachael Meyers is our guest. We'll be right back on The Verdict.
At Whitten Burridge, we're litigators. That's all we do. All of our clients, some sort of wrong has occurred to them. We try to right that wrong. Corporate America, they have all the power. It's sort of like going against an army. I like helping the underdog. That's what gets me up out of bed every day.
Our success rate is phenomenal, but that's not all they get. We care about people.
I'm very proud of what we've been able to do for our clients, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to do in the future. There's still a lot of wrongs that need to be righted.
OU Law has a history and heritage that are unparalleled. At the University of Oklahoma College of Law, we empower our students to pursue the career of their dreams. We have the highest U.S. News ranking ever achieved by an Oklahoma law school. We are the first law school in the country to launch a college-wide digital initiative. And this year, our competition teams rank number 2 in the nation. OU Law, generations of excellence, limitless possibilities.
One of the best kept secrets about the post 9/11 GI Bill benefit is that it can be used at a trade school or a technical school, and it doesn't have to be used at a university or college. These are benefits that the veterans have earned through their service, and they should take advantage of it.
Veterans really need to understand that there are many resources offered by the Oklahoma Department of Veteran Affairs. They're there to help you find the right school for you, the school that will help you and your family make great steps into your future.
Welcome back to the Set of the Verdict. Mick, Cornett, and Kent Meyers, and our guest is Rachael Meyers, who is back from Hollywood, and where she's been a participant and an active viewer of the impact that the current strikes are having on the Hollywood industry. I wanted to ask you about artificial intelligence and its potential impact on the entertainment industry. And I suspect that from the writer's standpoint, that was a significant issue that needed to be addressed earlier rather than later.
Yes, especially with ChatGPT and all of that. The writers laid that on the table, and what I believe they got a great deal with that. I still don't know the terms of it. I believe SAG and WGA are meeting sometime this week to discuss what was actually discussed in the WGA deal. I think then we'll get some details. But yeah, it's also a significant concern of actors because the technology nowadays, you can scan someone's likeness and replicate it and use it and create different dialogue and basically create CGI performance. Now, one of the big sticking points in the deal when the AMPTP initially came back to us back in July was that they wanted to take a background actor, pay them for half a day's work, scan their entire image, and use their likeness in any film, anytime, anywhere in the future. They also wanted to use almost 100 years of film to help train AI for the future. Wow. Which is, it's an infringement on what actors do. And you also think about how many actors who are working potentially started and got their SAG card doing background work. And if you look forward, and any new actor who wants to get into SAG and goes and does a background job, if these rules come into play, if they end up making it, then that studio owns their likeness for eternity.
Right, complete leverage on behalf of the studios.
Yeah, without further compensation. Yeah. So, so it's a big deal. I mean, you look at the SAG base right now. It takes just over $26,000 to qualify for health insurance every year. Only 14% of our membership actually qualifies for health insurance every year. Only 7% makes $80,000 and up per year, which in LA is basically your starting point for a living wage. We have not had, pension and health caps have not been raised in 40 years. We need a raise in compensation in order to continue to make a living as an actor. The whole idea of starving artist is a trope that people lean on, not just in everyday language, but studios lean on it. Yeah. It's the idea of the romantic starving artist. That should not be it, right? Actors provide a service that is not just entertainment. It helps deal with trauma on a mental and emotional and sometimes even physical level, Sure. If you think about during the pandemic, what did you do when you were stuck at home all the time, right? You watched TV.
You took comfort in entertainment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sure. Yes. You live these stories with these characters, and there's a cathartic moment in dealing with the trauma that you're working with in your life. So actors and storytellers and writers and artists, they're important nowadays with everything that's going on in the world. And we need to be able to make a living in order to continue providing it to everyone. So it's important what we're doing, and I'm really proud of our union for standing up and for going for it.
Let me change the subject.
Yes.
You were recently, along with a couple of other folks that you can mention, in a play in LA called Let Me In.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes, Let Me In. It was an original play based on actual events, actually. Written and directed by Bryn Thayer, who has been on an amazing amount of shows that, again, I cannot name, but she's incredible. Look her up. And it was myself and my husband, Brian McKinley, and Jorge Garcia, who has also been on a number of shows that you would recognize, so look him up. The three of us starred in this play that Bryn directed and wrote. It's produced by David Steinberg and the theater planners. We ran for a little bit over a month at Theater 68 North Hollywood, and it was really an incredible experience. It's the first time that I really got to originate a role on stage, and the themes of it they were heartbreaking. You know, it was dealing with grief and how people grieve and the truth of how people grieve in the unexpected ways, the different types of love, and above all, self-determination and being able to determine your own fate, which is a very hard topic. Bryn touched on very difficult topics, but there's also a lot of humor in it, which you would know if you know Jorge's work and my work. That's where we thrive, right? So it was really fun to go toe-to-toe with him every night, because it changed every night. I may have broken a couple times. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, it was a pretty great play.
Well, one other topic I wanted to have you tell us about is your recent trip with Brian, your husband, to Egypt.
Yes.
Tell us about Egypt.
Egypt was incredible. Not only was it just a go-to place on my list, you know, a bucket list. I
remember them building the pyramids.
Oh, yeah? You're there for that, huh? Put the capstone on, right?
Yeah.
So not only was it incredible, but I'm currently writing a book, the first book of a 3-part series that I'm also writing the script for to turn into a film franchise. And the core of the story starts in ancient Egypt. And it's about this down-and-out street fighter who gets kidnapped by this time-traveling mercenary 176 years into the dystopian future, where she has to find this ancient Egyptian relic in order to save the world and her sister. So a lot of this trip was not just vacation, but research. I'm looking a lot into the women of Egypt, the female pharaohs that aren't necessarily talked about, and the gods, and how it all kind of intermingles, and how femininity plays through Egypt's past and how it carries on to the future.
My goodness. And what was your inspiration for this topic? Just something that you've always wanted to explore?
This is going to sound very woo-woo. But I had a dream.
Yeah.
I know it sounds very like artsy and woo-woo, but I did. I had a dream, and I woke up and I was like, oh, interesting. Let's develop this idea and go forward. And then I just started kind of researching, and then I started, you know, with Egypt, there's so much history, not just in the buildings and the art, but in religion, how religions are stacked on top of each other throughout the whole time. Once you start digging, you just kind of have to fall down the rabbit hole and just explore, because I'm still finding things.
We've only got just a few seconds left.
Of course.
When do you think that project will surface and we'll be able to enjoy it?
Ooh,
Is it years away?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably. I'm hoping the book will come out sooner, but
does it have a working title that you can talk about?
Yes, working title is The Shift.
All right, The Shift.
The Shift.
All right, Rachael Meyers, thanks for coming home and coming on The Verdict.
Thanks, honey.
All right.
Of course.
Kent and I'll have a final word when we get back.
This is the epidemic of my generation. This is my HIV. This is my Black Plague.
In the midst of one of our state's largest crises,
Oklahomans are dying from this preventable and treatable disease on a daily basis.
we believe there's hope.
That little pill will cause destruction through your whole life.
Watch the entire award-winning 9-part docuseries Killing Pain, made available by Fighting Addiction Through Education at killingpain.com.
It used to be okay in hospitals. It used to be okay in movie theaters. It was okay in classrooms, restaurants, and airplanes. But thanks to a greater understanding of the dangers, that's not okay anymore. So now that we know secondhand smoke causes lifelong health problems, why is it still okay to smoke with children in the car? Bottom line, it's not okay. Let's get serious about protecting kids. Join the fight at stopswithme.com.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
You have children coming from a different lifestyle, different mindset. You have to open your arms and really do what you have to do to have that child become a part of your family. And if it's more patience, that's what you do. Kids gotta know they can trust you. And that's what we try to do with these kids.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick, Cornett, Kent Meyers, and our guest was very familiar to both of us, but especially to Kent. That must have been fun for you.
It was indeed. Of course, we're always glad to have Rachael home, but it's fun to find out. This is the way I find out what you've been doing.
She mentioned Let Me In. Did you get to go out and see it?
I did.
Yeah. How?
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful experience and quite a very thoughtful play, and it was good to see her on the real hard stage.
On the stage.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up our show on The Verdict. We do have a website we'd love to see you log into and tell us about a guest you'd like to see or a subject you'd like to see us discuss at a future time. That website is theverdict.tv. But that'll do it for this week. We'll see you next time right here on The Verdict.